Okay, so the next step, you're gonna go into the Genesis 8 male or female or whatever base thing you're gonna be working with. In this case, it's gonna be the 8.1 male. So I'm gonna double click that, make sure it's the actor and not the pose. I may have done that in the past, but we're gonna wait for it to load in. So after that, I'm gonna go to File, Import, and I'm going to import the object. Now you're going to see a bunch of weird things like this. This is the conversion that I had to get, otherwise everything I would have gotten would have been tiny and all over the place. So pay attention to these stats in particular. And if it was done correctly, you'll see that it was imported as it should have been. And like I said, with the damaged versus undamaged aspect, I have the damaged part exactly on the right area that it needed to be on. So question is, well, double questions. One, how do I texture it or apply the material? And how do I get it to be weighed? Because if I go, let's say here, we can see that it's not weighed. So how do I get it on there? So first things first, you go to Edit, Figure, Transfer Utility. The source is going to be basically your Genesis 8 model that we just brought in. The target scene item is going to be the thing that we just imported, and the projection template is going to be full body. Now, we're going to apply the pose again. And as you can see, it's applied. It's obviously going to have some deformities in there. Those, especially in the armpit, it's kind of unavoidable. You basically have to play with it as much as you can. But first things first, I'm going to rename this to that. And then say I want to fix some of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack open the armature or skeleton, whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to take a look. Now within this boxed area is going to be determining what is actually going to be selected. So I say I want to fix the armpits a bit. Oh, okay, that's actually, why is that more cleaner than the other one? Oh, that's weird. Anywho, so most of the time it's a guessing game as to what exactly is the reason why it's doing that. So we're gonna go to Tools, Node Weight Map Brush, and you can see that I've got a totally different tool to work with. But first, I need to go to Tool Settings. And you generally, when you crack open the armature, you want to make sure you're doing it on the actual mesh itself, not the reference weight. So I believe this is going to be chest lower. But we're going to go to Tool Settings. We're going to click General Weights. We're going to turn the sensitivity up a little bit, or to max. And the outer radius is going to determine how large or small the brush is going to be. And since I've selected chest lower, okay, so we know that that's not the solution. That's not it either. So, okay, so we got a little bit better results with the collar. So you generally just play around with it. You work with what you can, try to fix some things. It's time consuming. It's just like working with Fallout stuff. If you're familiar with it, it's a bit of a hassle, but you just generally just with time it becomes easier. But yeah, you work with it as best you can, and you hope you get something decent out of it. More often than not, it's more of a pain, but it's a process. But yeah, generally you just tinker around with it. I'm not going to spend too long on it. I don't really need the OCD at this moment. You just generally play around, especially when you have the materials applied. It'll be a little more clear. But yeah, if you apply too much, you'll start to see that the body is poking out. That's not what we want. So again, I will come back to this later. So now that we have that applied, I can go about, this is going to annoy me if I keep it up. I can go about applying the material. So what I normally do is I find something that I generally want to base and copy from. So I'll use my helmet right here, and I will go to the Surfaces tab and then click on the helmet. And I'll copy the material and paste. So now I don't actually need this helmet anymore, so I can safely get rid of it. And from there, you're going to see a bunch of selection. Depending on what base you use, you're generally going to have a bunch of selections, or not the same thing that I'm going to have. So what you see may not be what I see as a consequence of it. And you just generally just apply as what you have available. And I baked the textures out previously, so I don't really have to worry too much about, you know, do I have this, do I have that? You basically just, you want to have that done before you start really importing everything. And that's basically it. As you can see, I've got some of the textures applied. I'm not going to bore you with applying every single one of those. I'll handle that later for myself. So I have my armor, or my clothing, whatever you're working with. So you want to get it into a saved format. So you're going to click on the reference shape. You're going to go to Save As, Wearable Preset. And we're going to go to where I've already outlined it. And you're just going to name it. And then you're going to hit save. And you should see the selection. If you've selected the undersuit or thing that you're porting in, it would try to actually save the model itself, or not the model, the reference shape itself. We want the actual clothing, so you make sure before you save this is what you're working with. And then, as we can see, it's saved right here. So you double check, you get rid of that, import the new thing we just imported, and as you can see, it imported correctly. So that is it. It's a lot more complicated than what it might seem initially, but it's a lot more just time consuming than it is difficult. So feel free to ask questions if you have any. Hopefully this helped. Good luck.